إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين ومن اتبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. To proceed, today بإذن الله تعالى we begin our lessons in which we will be explaining the book al-Aqeedah al-Waasiteeyah Shaykh-ul-Islaam ibn Taymiyyah رحمه. And the explanation that we'll be using for our lessons is the one that was delivered during the course of a series of lessons by a Shaykh-ul-Islaam Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymeen رحمه. In the muqaddimah, therefore, in the introduction, the Shaykh Muhammad bin Salih al-Uthaymeen rahimahullah, he introduces this book al-Aqeedah al-Waasiteeyah, whose author was Abul Abbas Taqiyuddin Ahmad, who was a son of Abdul Halim, who was a son of Abdul Salam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, who was born in the year 661 Hijri, which is equal to 1263, and he died alayhi rahmatullahi in the year 728 Hijri, which equates to 1328. So he came, Shaykh-ul-Islaam rahimahullah, about 700 years ago. And he is an individual that for many years the Ummah, particularly the people of knowledge, they have recognized his contribution to the deen of Allah Azza wa Jalla, and they have asked that Allah Azza wa Jalla rewards him for the services that he performed for al-Islam, particularly in defending the Sunnah and the correct Aqeedah from all of the innovation and the distortion and the false assertion from the people of innovation and those who opposed the pure and pristine Aqeedah of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Now this book, al-Aqeedah al-Waasiteeyah, it is a summary of the belief of Ahl Sunnah, and it was written by Shaykh-ul-Islaam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah as a result of a request by a judge from Wasit. And Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah himself, as has been collected in his fatwa, he mentions that this particular individual, who was a judge from Wasit in al-Iraq, en route to Hajj, he traveled and he visited Shaykh-ul-Islam. His name was Radiuddin al-Waasiti, and he complained to Ibn Taymiyyah about what had happened in Iraq from beliefs and practices and innovations, particularly as a result of the groups of innovation that had appeared and as a result of the attacks from the Tartars and all the facade or the corruption that brought. So he came and he requested from Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah that he should write for him a book of Aqeedah. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, as he mentioned himself, he refused, and he said, Inna fi i'tiqadi a'immah, that indeed in the i'tiqad al-a'immah, in the beliefs or the books that have been written explaining the beliefs of al-a'immah, of the scholars of al-Islam is that which is sufficient. So he explained that we already have numerous books that have been written concerning Aqeedah, and that is sufficient. However, Radiuddin al-Waasiteeyah rahimahullah, he insisted and he said, La aqidatin illa ma katabtaha anta. He said that I don't want any book of Aqeedah except the one that you have written. So Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, he mentions, فَكَتَبْتُ لَهُ. So I wrote for him أصول الفرقة الناجية. So I wrote for him أصول, the fundamentals of اتقادي, of the belief of al-firqati al-najiyah, of the saved sect, في ورقات, on pieces of paper, بعد صلاة العصر إلى قبل المغرب. So he wrote this book of al-Aqeedah between the hours after al-Asr and before al-Maghrib, rahimahullah, and that therefore is why it's considered to be a summary. And in the original work, the original manuscripts upon which this book was written, there are about 15 pages. So it's not a lengthy book, but rather it is a summary. Now many scholars after Shaykh-ul-Islaam rahimahullah, they explained that work because it was written primarily for the teachers, the the leaders of the Muslims, for them to use it in order to teach the belief of Ahl Sunnah. But then they took that, the and they used it in order to teach the people. Thereafter, Ibn Uthaymeen mentions that before we speak about the actual text of the book, or he summarizes Tawheed. He summarizes what Tawheed is and what it involves, the different categories, explaining that all of the messengers of Allah Azza wa Jalla, from the first of them, Nuh alayhi salam, to the last of them, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, they all called their people to at-Tawheed. And we have numerous evidences to prove that all of the messengers that Allah Azza wa Jalla sent to His creation, they called their people to the worship of Allah Azza wa Jalla alone, which is what we refer to as a Tawheed. So Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned in Surah Al-Anbiya, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِنْ قَبْلِكَ مِنْ رَسُولٍ, that we never sent before you مِنْ رَسُولٍ, from a messenger, إِلَّا نُوحِي إِلَيْهِ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنَا فَعَبُدُونَ, that indeed there is no ilah, there is no God deserving of being worshipped, إِلَّا أَنَا, except me, meaning Allah, فَعَبُدُونَ. Similarly in Surah Nahl, Allah Azza wa Jalla said, وَلَقَدْ بَأَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولًا, that we sent to every nation a Rasul, أَنِ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَاجْتَنِبُوا الطَّاغُوتِ, that they should worship Allah and they should avoid at-Taghut, all that is worshipped besides Allah. So we know therefore with complete certainty, with numerous evidences from the book and the Sunnah, that the messengers of Allah alayhim as-salatu was-salam, they came in order to teach their people at-Tawheed. That was the purpose for their sending to the creation. And that should not be a surprising or a strange thing, because the creation that Allah Azza wa Jalla created, He did so for one purpose, and that is that they should worship Him. They were created li'ibadatihi, for His worship. And from that, what we understand is that worshipping Allah is that the hearts within creation, they are attached to their Creator. So worship, we know, is a comprehensive term, but from it is that which is in the heart. So the heart attaches itself to Allah Azza wa Jalla ta'alluhan, recognizing that Allah is the God, ta'adheeman, affirming the majestic nature of Allah, wa khawfan, fearing Allah Azza wa Jalla, wa raja'an, hoping with what is with Allah Azza wa Jalla, upon Allah, tawakkulan, having reliance and dependence upon Allah, wa raghbatan. Raghbatan meaning that you aspire continuously with what is with Allah Azza wa Jalla from His na'im, His blessing, and His paradise. Wa rahabatan, and fearing Allah continuously from what awaits you if you disobey Him. All of these matters that we mention that are acts of worship present in the heart, that is how the slave worships Allah Azza wa Jalla with his heart. That it turns to Allah Azza wa Jalla in all of these states, fearing Him, hoping in Him, having reliance upon Him, recognizing that Allah is divine and therefore deserving of being worshipped. Until you remove from your heart everything that opposes that, from the dunya and that which will not help you in order to accomplish that goal. For you were created as an aspect of Allah's creation in order to worship the Creator. And this is why the Rusul of Allah Azza wa Jalla, they called all of their people to this great matter, that they should worship Allah Azza wa Jalla alone and not associate partners with Him. Now, the other point to note is that the Rusul whom Allah Azza wa Jalla sent to creation, they called their people to Tawheed, al-Uluhiyyah, in a manner which was greater than their call to Tawheed al-Roobubeeyah. What does that mean? Tawheed al-Roobubeeyah, as we're going to explain, is recognizing that Allah is the Khaliq, the Creator, the Malik, the Owner, and the one who yudabbir al-amur, the one who organizes the affairs of creation. That is Tawheed al-Roobubeeyah. Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, as we're going to explain, is when you direct all of your worship, your prayer, your fast, your zakat, and so on and so forth, to Allah Azza wa Jalla alone. Why did the Rusul of Allah concentrate upon ensuring that the people worshipped and affirmed the Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, singling Allah alone with regards to acts of worship, in a matter that was greater, and they paid more attention to that than Tawheed al-Rububeeyah, recognizing that Allah is al-Khaliq? Because, as we mentioned previously, that very few people rejected Allah as the Rabb. Very few people in our history from the beginning denied that Allah Azza wa Jalla is the Khaliq, or that He is the Malik, or that He is Mudabbir al-Umur, the one who organizes the affairs of creation. Very few people did that. And as we mentioned previously, even the mushrikun, وَلَئِن سَأَلْتَهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ لَيَقُولُنَّ اللَّهِ, that if you to ask them who created the heavens and the earth, they would say, even Allah. The mushrikun at the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they accepted that Allah Azza wa Jalla is the one who created the heavens and the earth. And they accepted that Allah is the one who commands the sun and the moon, and that they're subservient or obedient to His command. They accepted that. Throughout our history, the history of creation, very few people rejected the concept of Tawheed al-Roobubeeyah, except a few. And they did that out of arrogance, like Fir'aun, who said, Ana Rabbukum al-A'la, that I am your Lord the Most High. And even he, when death came to him, he said, Amantu annahu la ilaha illa alladhi amanat bihi banu Israel wa ana min al-Muslimin, that I believe in the God of the Israelites, and indeed I am from amongst the Muslimin. So as Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned, the beginning of Surah An-Naml, وَجَحَدُوا بِهَا وَاسْتَيْقَنَتْهَا أَنفُسَهُمْ ظُلْمًا وَعُلُوًّا, that they argued with regards to this matter, meaning Fir'aun. When Musa and Harun alayhim as-salam went to him to establish the truth, they argued with him. وَاسْتَيْقَنَتْهَا أَنفُسَهُمْ, but they themselves believed that Allah Azza wa Jalla was their Lord. But they denied it, ظُلْمًا وَعُلُوًّا, out of injustice and arrogance. So it was only their arrogance that prevented them from admitting that indeed Allah Azza wa Jalla was their Lord. But the point to note is that throughout our history, the number of people who denied Tawheed al-Rububeeyah were very few. But the majority, as Allah Azza wa Jalla said in Surah Yusuf, وَمَا يُؤْمِنُ أَكْثَرُهُمْ بِاللَّهِ إِلَّا وَهُمْ مُشْرِكُونَ, that most of them do not believe in Allah إِلَّا وَهُمْ مُشْرِكُونَ, except that they commit shirk. Meaning that in their worship, so they recognize that Allah Azza wa Jalla is their Lord, but at the same time, when they worship Him, they direct a portion of their worship to other than Allah Azza wa Jalla, which of course is a negation of their understanding of Tawheed al-Rububeeyah. Because if they understood Tawheed al-Rububeeyah correctly, then after that they would not have directed a portion of their worship to other than Allah Azza wa Jalla. Thereafter, the ulama, scholars, for many centuries, they have in their discussion regarding a Tawheed divided it into three categories. And they did that based upon the principle of at-tatabbu wa istiqra', which means at-tatabbu means you examine, al-istiqra' means you analyze. So you analyze and you examine and you scrutinize the evidences of the Sharia, and you determine that when we speak about Tawheed, it can be divided into three categories. And that is Tawheed al-Rububeeyah, where you affirm the lordship of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, where you affirm that Allah Azza wa Jalla alone is deserving of being worshipped. And Tawheed al-Asma wa Sifat, and where you affirm that Allah is unique with regards to His names and His attributes. So there are three categories therefore. The first of them, which is Tawheed al-Rububeeyah, it is to make Allah Azza wa Jalla unique with regards to three matters. So Tawheed al-Rububeeyah itself comprises of three matters. The first of them is al-Khalq, the creation, that you affirm that Allah alone is the creator. The second is al-Mulk, the owner, that you affirm Allah alone is the owner of the heavens and the universe, the entirety of creation. And at-Tadbir, meaning that Allah Azza wa Jalla alone is the organizer of the affairs of creation. And the dalil for that, the evidence to affirm that Allah is unique with regards to the creation and the organization is the ayah in Surah al-A'raf, in addition to other ayat. In Surah al-A'raf, Allah Azza wa Jalla mentions the first of 7 ayat where He speaks about how He ascended and established Himself above His throne. Inna rabbakum Allahu alladhi khalaqa as-samawati wal ard fi sittati ayyam thumma istawa ala al-arsh. That indeed your Lord is the one who created the heavens and the earth in 6 days, then He ascended and established Himself above His throne. Towards the end of that ayah, He said, Allah lahu al-khalq wal-amru. Allah lahu al-khalq wal-amr. Is not al-khalq the creation, wal-amru, and the organization for Him alone. That portion of the ayah is one from amongst the proofs that illustrate how Allah is unique with regards to the creation and the organization of creation. How do we know this? Because in that portion of the ayah, Allah said, Allah lahu al-khalqu wal-amru. From the meaning itself, Allah is saying, indeed, is not al-khalq the creation and the organization for Him alone. But in the ayah, according to the rules of Arabic grammar, Allah Azza wa Jalla, He brought forward al-khabaru, which is lahu, and He delayed al-mubtada'u, which is al-khalqu. When you bring forward something and you delay something else, its effect is to restrict that matter to what you are speaking about. So where is the restriction here? Allah Azza wa Jalla is speaking about how the creation and the command or the organization is for Him. So when He brought forward lahu, then it meant that that's something which is specific, something which is unique, something which is restricted. Because ordinarily in Arabic you would say al-khalqu wal-amru lahu. But when He brought forward lahu, the delayed al-khalqu wal-amru, it has the effect of restricting it to Him alone. That's the first point to note from that portion of the ayah, that the word order has been changed to give rise to this meaning of restriction. The second is that Allah introduced that with Allah. Allah is an indicator that it is a warning and an affirmation. Allah meaning is not. So that is something for Allah alone and not for other than Him. Therefore, this portion of the ayah in Surah al-A'raf, Allah Azza wa Jalla restricts the creation and the organization to Him alone. As for al-mulku, then we have a numerous ayat in al-Quran in which Allah Azza wa Jalla said, for example, وَلِلَّهِ مُلْكُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. That indeed al-mulk, the ownership, is for Allah Azza wa Jalla alone. And again, if you look at that ayah and the ayat which are similar to it, Allah brings forward that portion walillahi, and He delays mulku samawati wal ard. Whereas ordinarily in Arabic it would be mulku samawati wal ard lillah. But when lillah is brought forward and mulku samawati is delayed, then it means that that is something which is specific and unique to Allah Azza wa Jalla alone. So we have evidences that indicate these three matters: al-khalq, the creation; al-mulk, ownership; and al-amru, the organization of the affairs of creation. How they are specific to Allah Azza wa Jalla alone. So now, if we affirm that Allah is unique with regards to creation, how do we reconcile that principle with what Allah Azza wa Jalla Himself affirmed in Al-Quran? For example, in Surah Al-Mu'minun, when towards the end of that ayah Allah said, فَتَبَارَكَ اللَّهُ أَحْسَنُ الْخَالِقِينَ, which means that blessed is He, or blessed is Allah, أَحْسَنُ الْخَالِقِينَ, the best of the creators. So Allah Azza wa Jalla in that ayah, or that portion of the ayah, affirmed al-Khaliqeen, which is the plural of al-Khaliq, meaning Allah is the best of those who create. So Allah has affirmed creators other than Him. Similarly, we know with regards to al-Musawwirun, the people who make pictures, on Yawm al-Qiyamah, Allah Azza wa Jalla will say to them, أَحْيُوا مَا خَلَقْتُمْ, give life now to what you created. And we have the hadith Qudsi, وَمَنْ أَظْلَمُ مِمَّنْ ذَهَبَ يَخْلُقُ كَخَلْقِ, and who is more oppressive or unjust than the one who attempts to create like what Allah Azza wa Jalla has created. So therefore, the point is that we've affirmed that from Tawheed ar-Roobubeeyah is that Allah is unique with regards to al-Khalq, the creation. If that is the case, that Allah Azza wa Jalla is unique with regards to the creation, why did Allah Himself affirm that there are creators other than Him? We say that the response to this is that al-Khalq, in relation to Allah Azza wa Jalla, it is al-Ijadu. Al-Ijad means to bring into existence something that did not exist before. That is al-Khalq in relation to the Creator. It is to bring into existence something that did not exist before. And He does that, Azza wa Jalla, with the simple word, kun fayakun, be and it is. As Allah mentioned towards the end of Surah Yasin, إِنَّمَا أَمْرُهُ إِذَا أَرَادَ شَيْئًا أَن يَقُولَ لَهُ كُن فَيَكُونَ, that indeed His command is, or His affair is, إِذَا أَرَادَ شَيْئًا, if He wants something, أَن يَقُولَ لَهُ كُن فَيَكُونَ, that He says to it, be and it is. Be and it is. So Allah Azza wa Jalla brought into existence this creation with a simple command. So in relation to the Creator, Allah, we say that al-Khalqu, it is al-Ijad, which means to bring into existence where it did not exist before. However, what do we say with regards to an individual who we can describe as a creator, like the one who created that door? What do we say with regards to him? We say that that is not al-Khalqu as Allah is al-Khaliq. We say that is a takween. A takween means to fashion or to form something from another object. So therefore, in order for that individual to have constructed that door, what did he require? He required wood in order to make it. So he didn't bring into existence that door with the statement, be and it is. He required material to do that. That material comprises of wood. And then similarly, we can take it one step back and say that even the wood that this person required, that was based upon something else, which is a tree. And the tree that that wood came from, originally, that was a seed in the ground. And that seed in the ground, in order for that to grow and to develop into a tree that would provide this wood that would be material for the door, then that required soil. And that soil required rainwater from the sky in order to nourish it and cause it to grow. All of those matters, that joiner or that carpenter or that constructor of the door was reliant upon in order to make his door. Without that, nothing could have happened. That is what we call a takween. However, Allah Azza wa Jalla does not require any of that. For He is the one who created the seed. He is the one who sent down the rain from the sky. He is the one who organized for that seed to sprout, for the tree to grow, and then gave the intelligence and the skill to mankind in order to take from that tree wood in order to fashion and make that door. It was Allah Azza wa Jalla. So consider the ayah in Surah Al-Hajj. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, Ya ayyuhan nas duriba mathalun fastami'u lahu. O people, duriba mathalun. An example has been put forward. Fastami'u lahu. So listen carefully to it. Inna alladhina tad'una min dunillah لَن يَخْلُقُوا ذُبَابًا وَلَوْ اجْتَمَعُوا لَهُ. That those who you call upon besides Allah, لَن يَخْلُقُوا ذُبَابًا. They will not be able to create a dhubab. Dhubab in Arabic relates to a fly. وَلَوْ اجْتَمَعُوا لَهُ. Even if they're all gathered in order to do that. وَإِن يَسْلَبْهُمَ الذُّبَابُ شَيْئًا. And if that dhubab, that fly, comes and takes something from them, لا يستنقذوه منه. Then they will never be able to retrieve it from that fly. ضعف الطالب والمطلوب. ضعف الطالب. How weak is a talibu, the one seeking something from someone other than Allah, والمطلوب, and the one from whom it is sought. How weak they are. In this ayah in Surah Al-Hajj, Allah Azza wa Jalla mentions the example of a simple fly. One of the most insignificant in the perception of ordinary people and lowly types of creation. A single fly. Yet Allah Azza wa Jalla presents that as an example of how, despite whatever belief they're upon with regards to understanding and knowledge and progress and development, that even if they're all congregated together in order to create that fly, لَن يَخْلَقُوا. They would not be able to do that. Even if they came together to assist one another. And if that fly was to take something from them, يَسْلَبُهُمَ الذُّبَابُ شَيْئًا, take whatever it is, they could never retrieve it from that fly. ضَعْفَ الطَّالِبُ وَالْمَطْلُوبُ. How weak is it, the one who calls upon other than Allah and the one who is being called upon other than Allah. In this ayah, Allah Azza wa Jalla mentions إِنَّ الَّذِينَ تَدْعُونَ. الَّذِينَ in Arabic grammar is called ism mawsul. Ism mawsul, and it refers to everything yud'a min dunillah, which is called upon besides Allah. So whatever mankind or creation call upon besides Allah is included in that word alladhina. From trees and rocks and other human beings and idols and so on and so forth. Everything that is called upon. لَن يَخْلُقُوا ذُبَابًا وَلَوْ اجْتَمَعُوا لَهُ. That they will not be able to create a fly even if they all congregated for that purpose. So they all came together in order to fulfill that particular objective, but they are incapable of doing that. Then if that fly now takes something from that, then they can't retrieve it. So for example, a fly, which is considered from amongst the most insignificant of Allah's creation, descends upon a king amongst the most powerful of the rulers, And that fly, it takes some of the perfume, it sucks some of the perfume which is upon this king. So the most insignificant takes something from the most powerful and then absorbs it into its body. That king, despite his power and his authority and his resources, is not going to be able to extract his possession, i.e. his perfume, from a fly that took it from him. And that is why Allah Azza wa Jalla mentions the example of a fly. That even if this king dissected this fly, because he's now absorbed it into his body, it's beyond his ability to extract. And it would result in the death of the fly, and it wouldn't benefit him all. It would be a foolish exercise. So consider how, when they call upon others besides Allah Azza wa Jalla, then it's a futile exercise that will benefit them not in any way. Therefore, the point to note is that when we say that Allah Azza wa Jalla is unique with regards to His creation and His ability to create, even though He has affirmed other creators in this dunya besides Him, the distinction between them is that they all require source material. And even if they have this source material, such as the joiner with wood, then they're still restricted with regards to their skill and their ability. So even if they were to try and replicate all of the components or the organs, the different aspects of a simple housefly, and they came together in order to do that, and they had all of the components, they still couldn't cause it to be alive how Allah Azza wa Jalla has done that. Which is why He is unique with regards to His ability to create, and that is why He is unique with regards to Tawheed al-Roobubeeyah. And the point to note during the course of these lessons is that the more that a person understands this, the more that their heart becomes attached to their Creator, recognizing that He is worshipped because He is unique with regards to that characteristic. That is why Tawheed is of central importance to the deen of al-Islam, because without affirming that Allah is unique and therefore deserving of being worshipped, if that's negated, then mankind will turn to other than Allah. That is why shirk is the greatest offense in the sight of Allah, because shirk is to associate partners with Allah, and it is to say in effect that Allah is no longer unique with regards to His Roobubeeyah, His Uluhiyyah, or al-Asma' wa Sifat. And if Allah is no longer unique, then why is He worshipped? So therefore these lessons are not just an academic exercise in learning points and remembering evidences, but the purpose of it is to increase your iman by understanding that Allah is unique with regards to these three categories, and therefore it helps to perfect your worship of Allahu Azza wa Jalla. Wallahu wahdahu a'lam. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.